Hello and welcome back to the channel. So today we have our first official look at Wonder Woman 1984. It's finally here. This is definitely up there in one of my most anticipated film in the coming year. Of course, it's saw the very first film. Absolutely loved it, and the Wonder Woman film, of course, kind of set the stage for a lot of being one of the first female-led, female-driven films in the comic book genre, right, so to speak. And yes, of course, we do know there have been a few. We've had Catwoman before that, and as far back as Tank Girl, which I believe they're trying to remake now, but it's a very old property. But I saw the film and back in the day and absolutely loved it and what it represented. But of course, this is the new wave of comic book films, and so we have our beacon here, which is in my mind is Diana so far. Um, I saw Captain Marvel, and I don't think it should even be a competition. Persons tend to try to cause divide between this and that, and it's not, right? However, as you may feel about the different studios, I mean, it's up to you in terms of which film appeals more to you, but it's just a good time to have these films coming out because 10 years ago, it was unbelievable that we'd actually be here now and having all these different films, all these properties coming to life. So that much I think we can all agree on. And Wonder Woman is no different. I am looking forward to this. I am a bit hesitant where Steve is concerned because there have been some behind the scene photos released over the past few months, and it's pretty much confirmed at this point that Steve is back, and I worry that he's coming back. I love the first film. I love the sacrifice that he made in the very first film, and I worry that we may cheapen that death and its effects by having him come back because even in the follow-up films, in BVS and Justice League, Diana has had conversations with Bruce about this person that has impacted her life, and unless we're going to disregard everything that has happened so far in the other films, because if he's still alive and he is with her throughout the remainder of his life, then that kind of changes the conversations that she has, the meaning of the conversations that she had with Bruce about Steve, right? So I'm just a bit weary about what direction they might take Steve in. As I mentioned, if they do bring him back, I do hope it's temporary and perhaps Hades or something like that, trying to manipulate Diana to some extent by offering her, okay, do this for us, and we bring your love back to life, right? If it's something to that effect, then I'm fine. In the end, she will perhaps make the right choice and have to give Steve up, because that is her at the moment her one weakness, if you call it that. But I'm hoping that they just don't keep him on as this full-time character for the however many more Wonder Woman films there are, because I think his death played a more important role in her growth as a character. Having seen the first film and seeing how she grew from this timid warrior from the island to this more mature person. So and his death, his life and his death kind of contributed to that. So I'd hate for them to kind of erase that. But so far we do know that Cheetah is going to be a part of this film. Right, so whether or not she's going to be the main villain, I'm not yet convinced, given how things progressed in the very first film. It was kind of a misdirect to look here and pay no attention to Ares in the background here. So I do believe there's a misdirect. I don't believe Cheetah will be the main villain. I think she's being introduced or being set up for the third film when it does whenever it does land. So I do think there's going to be someone else in the background here. If it is someone like Hades who's has a hand in bringing Steve back, I can see that working very well. But yeah, definitely excited. So let's check it out.
My life hasn't been what you probably think it has. We all have our struggles.
Have you ever been in love?
A long time
There's
ago.
our Cheetah.
You?
So many times. Yeah, all the time.
I'm glad they're going the route where they're actually friends. I think there's some adaptation where they are. Gorgeous.
Welcome to the future. Life is good, but it can be better.
Who's this?
And why shouldn't it be? All you need is to want it.
That Nathan Fillion?
Think about finally having everything you always wanted.
I can save today, but you can save the world.
So does Barbara have something to do with bringing Steve back?
No.
I take what I want in return.
Everyone will see.
It's different. It's Pedro Pascal. It's the blonde hair.
The world needs you.
Nice.
You know what you need to do.
Still can't fly, but boy, is she using that lasso. The mascara.
Nothing good is born from lies. And greatness is not what you think.
This is some Steve back in action. Swing on lightning. Damn. That armor is stunning.
It's all art.
It's the 80s, man.
That just a trash can.
It's just a trash can. Yeah.
It's so hard to tell these days. All right, so then we have our first official look. I've got to say, the first thing that jumped out at me immediately, the tone of this this film, in contrast to the previous film, it's just drastically different, and it makes sense. It's the 80s. It's going to be upbeat. It's going to be fun. It's going to be colorful. That's the 80s. So I'm glad that that Patty is taking that direction here, because it needs to feel like it's a different film. As we follow Diana on her adventures throughout the different ages. It's I don't know, why wouldn't you take advantage of that, right? She's basically living through time, ageless, and you may as well go that route. I love it. So it's definitely colorful. The colors pop. Everything looks vibrant. In contrast to the war that we had in the very first film, but it's a different kind of it's a different kind of battle, right? Even when the war ended, there were still underlying issues that maybe not as severe, but definitely just as difficult to overcome. So it's a different time, but the challenge it's going to be interesting to see how Diana how she adjusts to it in this period, right? We saw her do a lot of growing in the very first film, again in part due to Steve and the men that he was surrounding himself with. They kind of exposed her to what the world of man was like, and now she's essentially on her own here. And however, she does seem to have made a friend in Barbara Minerva here, so they are going the route where she is friends with Barbara before she becomes Cheetah. And as I said before, I don't believe Cheetah will be the villain for this film. I believe it's a misdirect, and it will be someone perhaps like Hades or some other god that's trying to manipulate her by playing on her emotions and her love for Steve to try to get her to do something. So I believe Barbara is being set up for the next film, and and that was Pedro Pascal in the film. For a second here, I thought it was a different actor, but the blonde hair just made him look completely different. I didn't recognize him. I'm not quite sure what character he's actually supposed to be playing here, but I'm sure he'll do a fantastic job. And who knows, he does appear to be, what her who the main villain may actually be. And it may come down to one of those situations where this isn't a battle that you can win with your fists in the way that you did in the very first film, right? You have to find some other way to actually beat him, because he's, I'm assuming he's human. If the whole Hades thing isn't the direction they're going in, but if he's human, she can't kill him if she doesn't have proofs to to get him locked up or something like that. She has to figure out some way, and I hope they go that route as well. It's kind of the typical Superman Lex Luthor relationship, right? Where Superman has all the power in the world, but oftentimes that's just not enough. That's not the only tool you need to take on villains like like a Lex Luthor, or whoever this character is supposed to be. So that will definitely be interesting to see how she handles it. Still suspect there's something going on in the background because there's no explanation as to why Steve is here. It could have something to do with Barbara, or it may not. Stuff to say. But finally, the armor though. The armor looks fantastic. I can't say that I've seen Wonder Woman in something similar. I'm not an avid comic book reader, so my knowledge of Wonder Woman is, somewhat reliant on what I've seen in Justice League and Justice League Unlimited and DC animated films, right? And the closest thing I've seen her in like this is probably Flashpoint, but it's stunning. It's gold. It's I don't know. It's vibrant and it just looks beautiful. So the armor is absolutely beautiful. It's good that they're changing the armor up, I suppose. Is what I'm saying. So it's I'm sure Diana has several different versions where she's in different armor and different. So I hope they mix it up and change things up as we go along. As much as I love her armor from the very first film, this is a different movie, a different time, a different tone. So they do need to change things up a bit. Definitely looking forward to this film. We haven't seen Cheetah in her final form, so I'm hoping there's still time. Hoping for the next trailer. I don't want him to reveal too much, but it would be good to see a glimpse of her and see what this character looks like and what their relationship actually looks like. Alright guys, be sure to post down below, let me know what your thoughts are on this trailer. Be sure to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.